Day 2, fully charged live, Boston to Austin. We could have taken one of those, but we're not. Okay, not a Prius, not a hybrid, not a Tesla, long range. We are gonna do Boston to Austin in a Bolt. This is Electrify America's not so good side. Every single unit unable to charge. We are gonna have to look for a level 2 plug and reassess. Okay, well, nobody wants to use their backup plan, especially when their backup plan is a level 2, but that is what we will do while we reassess what we need here. Luckily the next one isn't major distance, about 100 miles, and luckily there are level 2s. Again, this is where New York State itself does much better. If this was a problem in Pennsylvania, I would be really struggling right now. There you go. All we have to do is wait 10 hours and we'll be fully charged. Obviously that's silly. Getting plugged in, we're here, we're doing it. 36 miles on the GOM. Now that's at very fast highway speeds, so we could improve that with a little bit more chilled out driving. We are still plugged in here in Herkimer at the library in the center. Bumped a few miles whilst I figured out some plan Bs and updated some people. My plan is to go to Utica, where there is a lovely coffee shop that will at least be a silver lining to this snafu. It's only 15 miles away. Kind of note here, and this may be a good bit for the video, is this 41 miles estimated on the GOM is a best guess number based on what you've been doing recently. So that's 270 odd miles of high speed interstate driving. So half that speed and slower roads with some regen should give a lot more in the way of mileage. So firstly, thank you people of Utica for not icing your chargers. That is a good thing. Let's get plugged in and reassess what we're doing. Alright, so silver linings, I hope. What if this was closed? That would be a kick in the pants. This is what I came for. Utica Roasting Company. Great coffee. Let's see if they got great food. Wake the hell up, Electrify America. Here we go, we can actually see, this is a useful part of My Energy Assist, the Chevy charging feature. You know, it'll show you your position, 7%, which is useful to know because you don't see that on the dash here. You can see the 2 bars, each of those is worth 5%, so you might be fooled into thinking you had 10% here, but it's actually beneath the second bar. And but as you can see, there's nothing showing up. We've got this is covering most of New York State over to not quite Buffalo, and you're seeing no charging stations at all. I'm getting warnings that you need to charge soon, charging stations are unreachable, and yet we have one just 2 miles up the road here. Again, if it doesn't charge, we're utterly goosed, and we're plugging into whatever 110 outlet we see. But assuming it works. I've finally got it back up to 3 miles per kilowatt hour here from a low of 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. And things would have been quite different had we got to charge in Herkimer, but they were not. That was not to be. And here we are, creeping in on Sparks with 1 mile to go to the Waterloo Premium Outlet. What a sight for sore eyes these chargers will be. No forgetting the fact that it was Electrify America that caused this delay in the first place, but here we are. Let's do this. That one. Okay, so I ate. That was great. Away goes Dave. Thank you so much for coming to meet me instead of waiting. Now this is a weird one because the screen on this one was off. Dave actually tried all of these and the only one he could get to give him a good charge was this one, even though the screen is not working. So we plugged it in, fired up the app, and we have happily charged up to 90% now, past 90% actually, because who knows what will happen next. But it was still getting, can't really show you on the screen because there is no screen, but you know, we've almost got to a very high state of charge here. We're still charging at 24 kilowatts, which at 94% is pretty much unheard of. So I'm gonna unplug because there's not much left. But this is a good good indication of faster charging if you can get the charger to work. Okay, unplugged, 190 miles, but who knows what the GOM is on now that I've trundled around. We'll see if we get to Erie or not, maybe not, but either way, we're en route. Let's get at it. Bye bye Waterloo. You aren't perfect, but you are operational, and we certainly appreciate that.
Head east toward New York 318 West.
384 miles driven, 190 on the GOM, and who knows where we'll stop. I-90 West on the way. We'll check in with you at the next charge stop.
Take the next right, then turn left. Take the next...
One that is offline. I did check that on the app beforehand. I'm going to go to this one on the basis that we've had success with it before. This is at 85% after I've done all my business in the store here, and still at 23 kilowatts. And actually, when I was eating dinner in the previous stop at Waterloo, it was still around this level at 94%. So one thing to note on that was that I added 60 kilowatt hours, which is, or just over 60 kilowatt hours, which is a 2017 Bolt EV's worth. And even at that high state of charge, 94%, it was still adding roughly this level of power, which, although low by most standards, is definitely high for that state of charge. So yeah, it may now pay to stay to a higher state of charge if you need it. There was some debate in the older versions of the car about whether it was worth just pulling off at maybe not 55%, but certainly 67%, and definitely when you were going above 80, people got eager to leave. But that might change just a little bit, at least with this higher charge rate. Anyway,
90 west.
onward to Cleveland. This will probably be my last update now. I think it'll just be drive through and do a recap in the morning. Begin day 2. Belated start, but packing up. And we'll be on the road soon. So we leave at, what is it, 10 AM, something like that. 180 miles on the GOM, 86, maybe 87% state of charge. Plenty to get to Columbus, which is the next stop. Oh, and we could have taken one of those. I know it's icy. We could have taken one of those, but we're not. Okay, not a Prius, not a hybrid, not a Tesla, long range. We are gonna do Boston to Austin in a Bolt, come hell or high water. And we're not expecting any rain, precipitation, anything of the sort today, so we can hope a little bit. Okay, newer unit, more success. Let's see. So starting here at 21%, but it is complimentary, which is great. Thank you very much. Smart Columbus, is it? And we're starting, I think this battery temperature may be accurate, I don't know. It's stayed around that, maybe because it was plugged in all night. Maybe 73 degrees Fahrenheit is how it tries to keep the battery, and the heater is going to work, so stuff is happening. We're pulling 42 kilowatts from the station. And yeah, well, the good thing here is that I don't have to record anything really, because I can get it all and overlay it in this ChargePoint graph. So I will do that after I've gone to the toilet and got some food. Well, that all looks interesting. Okay, let's do it. Hey, made the right choice. Okay, so I did really push this one to the end. It's not busy. There are other charge stations, although that one's iced. Tut tut. Really just get as many miles as we can, see if I can make this next jump to Georgetown, Kentucky, just north of Lexington in one trip without stopping. But the main thing to note is that we'll have the power graph. We'll be able to see how that looks across the whole charge session from whatever it was, 20, low 20%-ish, all the way up to full, or close to full. I actually don't want to do full in this case because it will reset all this business, and I already reset the trip meter here so that I could see what kind of average efficiency we were doing on day-by-day basis. Temperature is picking up slightly, but nothing special. Still 2% climate settings, cycling the heater, and not too much to show you. Technique sucks, but that's speed. I don't really know how to read that in this car. It's always down by -4, -4.5 when we're on the highway. In the 2017 Bolt, outside temperature is a big drag again, about 1/3 of it, and the other third is, or 2/3 are technique and a little bit of climate settings. But we'll crunch all those numbers. I'm going to unplug. In fact, I'm going to stop it from here because I don't want those numbers to reset. Yeah, just past 200 miles. Efficiency has held really nicely over the last 100 miles or so, sticking at 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour, trending very far up there on the left, you'll see with the green bar, even though we're ploughing along at, you know, between this and 74, 75. It's been a really big stretch, obviously charging to 96% or 98%, whatever it was. Helps, but this makes it different and changes the dynamic of charging a little bit, so it'll be fun to digest this and see how our journey goes the rest of the day.
Is on the left.
See how this one goes. %. Georgetown, Kentucky, Station 2. Click. Immediate startup. Or Herkimer Horror Show. Immediate startup. %, 1 kilowatt. Let's hope that speeds up. 80% complete by 5:45. Let's see what the car says. Maybe it has better handle on how much it's getting. All right.
So you think it's really kicking tunes? Bitch.
Straight up again, 50 kilowatts. Gets us right out of the orange. And some data to look at later, but right now I'm mostly interested in finding the bathroom. But okay, here you go, just for posterity. Still on 2% climate settings. It's much nicer and warmer here, 46 degrees, so we're in good shape for that. Nice round number of 333 kilowatt hours used. We're past 1,000 miles on the trip officially. And the distance here is what we've traveled today, so this has been really good. 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. I cannot complain at all. Partially down to the temperature, but it was still cold this morning. It was below freezing in Ohio, so all I can put that down to is either terrain being a bit less hilly or just liking the conditions more. Okay, so we hit 91%. I didn't film much of that because we were there with Matt. I finished charging before I did all my business for once, so I'm gonna go in, grab some craft beer that Matt recommended, and use the bathroom. And then we'll be on our way to Bowling Green and the National Corvette Museum, which unfortunately is closed. But hopefully I'll still be able to see a Corvette or three in the parking lot.
Take the next left.
There we go. They're kind of out the back. To do the obligatory debrief. 29 miles left on the GOM. What does that look like? Maybe 12-13% state of charge. 383.6 kilowatt hours used, coming up on 1200 miles driven. We really haven't used any climate settings today. Comfortable around 40 degrees Fahrenheit or above for the last 250 miles. Still really good. Very, very impressed today. And if these work, we will be in good shape. I'm also going to call Electrify America anyway to see if I can get a free charge, complimentary, based on the Herkimer day bar call yesterday. They said we'll be happy to give you a free one, so let's see if they can do it. So this is where we are. National Corvette Museum, Bowling Green, and it is in use, but this is not my account. So they were very kind and repaying me now with a free charge, so we will make the most of this, obviously. But yeah, that was easy to start up, and this was you know, we've got a bunch of these now under our belts and really no issues other than a little bit glitchy in Waterloo. The stop after Herkimer, it wasn't the most perfect looking charge startup. You couldn't really see the screen, but other than that, I mean, this has been pretty easy to get these started and keep going. So they've got us this far. You know, it's the ups and downs. It's you know, if anything, that shows the good side and the bad side of the network. So happy with that. Appreciate the complimentary charge as a recompense for the wasted time in Herkimer. Okay, 92%. I think I've had my fill of free juice. It's a good $15 worth. We have plenty to get on to Tennessee. Right, so Clarksville Walmart, a little bit silly, don't really need a whole lot, but this is kind of the distribution of them now. It's going to get a little bit charged wherever there's a charger, but we'll bump up here. I'll take a rest break, and we will be on our way again, off into Tennessee now, a little bit northwest of Nashville. But anyway, plugged in, and let's get firing up again. Oh, it's gone. All of them seem to be on and working. And I promised I would check these labels. It's a Signet, and it's working. Happy days. This was not a you know, long elongated journey. It wasn't one where we stayed over for several days in a place, visited a town, you know, stayed with relatives, all the kind of stuff that we've done even on the 2,500 odd miles to Quebec and into through across Canada and Ontario and back to Ohio. That was done over the course of several weeks. So, you know, whilst that was a good road trip, it was elongated and we had plenty of opportunity to destination charge and take it easy. This was not one of those trips. If anything, I didn't get to stop in the places I would have liked. I saw Tennessee and the Smoky Mountains in, you know, the dark, so I have no idea what that looks like. I would have loved to stop in Nashville, Tennessee for, you know, a chance to see some music and look at the downtown. Yeah, it was quick travel the whole way. I had to be in places both for the event and then after the event. If I had to say anything, it was that, you know, Walmart's got a bit boring after the 4th, 5th, 6th Walmart. You know, you've seen them all and there's not a whole lot to do. Some of the sites had, you know, the ones that were closer to big cities had nicer, you know, different dining options. There were a couple where I was able to get a cafe and work for an hour or two, which was great because then you can get up to the higher state of charge and drive for a bit longer. You know, if you get 200 miles on the GOM, as you do when you are charging the 2020 to around 90-95%, at least in winter, it's good. It's a decent amount of range. You'll drive 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours, depending on your speed. Charging session in Arkansas, and we'll be up to Texas.
Continue on US 278 for half a mile. In half a mile, turn left onto Walmart Drive. Your destination is on the left.
Indeed, it is. 192 miles into day 3. Still got loads left, but this is it was going to be a push. It's about another 100 miles to Mount Pleasant, so we could have eased off a little bit and maybe squeezed in, but why bother? Need to go to the toilet anyway, and we've got this, so let's plug in. So not ideal. I hope no Leaf owners come along, because we did have to use this one. It's the only one that's listed as available and working in the app. But I won't be here too long, and I'll be with the car after I go to the bathroom, so hopefully that's fine. Straight up to 53 kilowatts. See, they all say ready. I tried to, and in the app they're inaccessible. So it is what it is. I'm at the car. If a Leaf comes, I will do the right thing. If not, I'll take the juice. again. So glad to see a hotel. Cheap budget hotel. It's a lot of miles, but it should be a lot of fun.